I'm very, very glad to see all of you. And let me begin by briefly describing the impetus behind this tribute to Ghalib. Although I must say I prefer the first title, Epistemology of Elegance, which happens to be mine. I mean, my title. And quickly, when Azra and I first met, it was in Cincinnati over a reading, an Urdu mehfil of hers. And since then, I'm not being arrogant because it's just true. Someone has said about two writers meeting that they looked at each other and in the reflection of their eyes saw their own identity. And I can say that that is exactly what happened with Azra and myself. And when we discovered our mutual liking of Ghalib, adoration I should say, we thought to ourselves, there are innumerable translations of Ghalib that exist, but we wanted to make a text that was accessible to the younger generation, because, and I think I'm as guilty of that as anyone, so many young people, I belong to the older generation, speak a domestic Urdu, a kitchen Urdu. So they can go to the bazaar and buy, or do things like that. Or, I'm afraid, tell their bearers, chai la dijiye. More frequently, chai lao. And so one of our impetuses was to provide a book, not an extensive book, not overly erudite at all, but that could introduce a generation to the joys of Ghalib. My dear, what you wish to add?
कुछ काम थे अपनी मर्जी के, कुछ काम फकत मजबूरी थे, और वक्त बहुत ही थोड़ा था और सारे काम जरूरी थे। ये काम जो हम लोगों का है, ये बिल्कुल मजबूरी नहीं, बल्कि ये जरूरी काम समझ के हम लोगों ने किया
और शौक से किया।
जी, एक शायर था गालिब और बाकी शायर हैं गालिबन।
ये तो सही है।
ये हम लोगों का ख्याल था। In introduction, I would like to say that since the moment I met Sara, I knew that it would be an amazing, amazing thing to have somebody interpret Ghalib with the sensibility that Sara brings, the sensitivity that she brings. It would be an amazing thing. But before we go on with Ghalib and I turn over to Sara to read something, I want to say that personally, the two individuals who have impressed me the most in my entire life, and I know a lot of very, very outstanding people, both have been women, and surprisingly, both share so much in common. One is, of course, sitting right here, Sara Suleri, and the other is Qurratul Ain Haider, whose dear friend, Dr. Suraya Hussain, is amongst us today. What an honor it is to have you, Suraya.
She is my cousin, first cousin
also, and lived with you for so long in Aligarh, and what an amazing thing to have you. And for both Annie Appa and Sara, I always say, वो तो इस फन का खुदा है यारो, उसको हर बात रवा है यारो. जो मर्जी है वो कर लें. We are ready to with our adoration and worship because they are unbelievable. These two women, I did my best to get them to meet, and Sara was not given the visa at the end.
That's right. That's right.
So the other thing I want to say in introduction is that when we got this work done, the idea was that we would be able to bring, already there are 70 interpretations of Ghalib that exist, at least 70 recorded ones, and I'm sure there are many others. But we felt that there was something that we could bring through our own interpretation, and we felt that it is an invitation to all of you for reading and rereading and reinterpreting the text in your own way, because there will continue to be many interpretations of Ghalib. We wanted Harold, the great Harold Bloom, to give us a blurb for the book. And when both Sara and I know him, and when we sent him the book, he read it and he called me. And he said, Azra, you say that the book has 2 authors, but there's only one voice. And I said, you really hit it on the head, Harold, because this is exactly the point of the book. Our partnership is complementary, in the sense that my strength more lies with the Urdu part. And we kept 11 sharas in front of us, all in Urdu, and one really not in English, but we consulted, of course, your professor Pritchett also, but we had at least 11 Urdu sharas around us.
Yeah.
And we would look at a sher and then look at what other people are saying in the interpretations, and then we would start debating amongst ourselves. Sometimes a sher took us 3 or 4 days of discussion, interpretation, reinterpretation, debating, and eventually when we agreed, Sara would say, okay Azra, let's put it into difficult English now. And my job then was one of a scribe. I would literally sit, remember, with my computer, and Sara would say, tiki tiki laiye bas shuru kariye. And that's how we would do it. And it was, I have to tell you all that the joy that we had
Completely. Yeah.
in reading and suddenly after all these discussions and reading all the different interpretations, then we would come up with ours. And when we finally got it, then there was that ecstasy of apprehension that would descend upon us. And we felt so amazingly good about it. Literally for 1.5 years, we were joined at the hip here in Massachusetts, where I was living. And we thoroughly enjoyed our partnership.
Totally.
That's the best thing I can say. And neither of us is insecure in any way, so that I am the first to say to everybody that yes, it is Sara's voice, it is Sara's interpretation, and that was the whole idea, to get Sara to interpret Ghalib for us. What a joy it was for us.
Untrue, because without Azra helping me understand, apprehend the sher, I could not have come up with it.
And without me editing you also.
Yes, all the time.
Amazing partnership.
It was really a lovely partnership,
Yes,
Suriyappa,
yes.
and we had such a great time doing it. And one of my greatest joys is to be able to say that of all the things I might have done in my life, nothing comes close to the wonderful sense of accomplishment I have that we got this book published because of Sara. Because you will see now, I'm going to turn it over to Sara, because Sara, tell them why we decided on this ghazal. We're only going to do 3 or 4 shares, so don't worry, it will be over very soon. We talked about which ghazal to do, and we decided on
Page number?
पहला शेर आप करिए, दूसरा शेर हम. That's what we decided, and then we can discuss further.
One thing I will say before getting to the sher. When Azra and I were trying to focus on a particular theme for this reading, we thought maybe we'll talk about infinitude and the finite. which is one of the motifs that we found running through Ghalib. मतलब से आपको चाहिए एक उम्र असर होने तक कौन जीता है तेरी जुल्फ के सर होने तक क्या कहिए okay on the surface one of the things Azra and I discussed I said how the hell can we translate कौन जीता है तेरी सर के जुल्फ के सर होने तक because that seems to be impossible in English. So we were working to find some kind of an equivalent to describe the difference in the first misra, which is aako chahiye ek umr asar hone tak. Sigh is not a sufficient word. A cry of longing, let's say. Yeah. Ek umr chahiye asar hone tak. It takes a lifetime for that cry to be actually completed. And then, in the second misra, let's say that is the infinity part of it, the first misra. The second misra, kaun jeeta hai teri zulf ke sar hone tak. Now, think of the bariki here, that the idea of how long can you live before your locks reach the head? And the way we translate it is, a sigh requires a lifetime to take effect. Who lives to reach the source of your mystery? Because, otherwise, to do Zulfke Sarhorita would be ludicrous. In English, it would be. So we tried to find an equivalent of that. And once again, I think it is Ghalib's great capacity to move from the very, very huge, the umr, to the absolute specific. Specificity.
बिल्कुल आपको चाहिए उम्र असर होने तक कौन जीता है तेरी जुल्फ के सर वाह वाह बिल्कुल आपने सही
Because you see there are two concepts of life over here. One is the concept of the cry of longing taking a lifetime to reach completion. And the other form of life, kaun jeeta hai, which absolutely brings in mortality, right? And the contrast between beauty and mortality, which is one that Ghalib brings up time and again. And in some ways, we see him making beauty, not elevating it, but making it as finite as mortality. And now I turn over to the next say to Azra, because one of the difficulties I had, and certainly it gave Azra lots of room for explication to me, but I could never really fathom the gaping mouths of 100 crocodiles. Please.
The reason is both Sara and I love this book is because the cover is designed by my sister, Dr. Azra Raza, and the title is Epistemologies of Elegance. Except then somebody wrote a review of Epistemologies of Elegance saying 2 ladies from Pakistan have written a book on Ghalib. The name gave me heartburn. I went and looked up the meaning of epistemologies. They have done a satisfactory job.
If anyone has to go to a dictionary to discover what epistemologies is, they shouldn't be writing a review.
So we loved this particular edition, but then Penguin called us and said that after 5 years, 6 years, they said, look, people think this is a textbook and no one wants to buy it, they get scared of the title. So we are changing the title and we are changing the cover, and then they have come out with this. So it's the exact same book, it's just the paperback edition, and we would love for each one of you to hopefully get the book. Before I go to the next share, I wanted to also tell you that we had a lot of fun with this share because of the word naheng, as Sara said. Daam har mauj mein hai, halqe sad kaam mein naheng. So when we were talking about what ghazal to do today, I said to Sara that the range of subjects that Ghalib addresses in the space of 7 shares is breathtaking in this particular ghazal. Because you just heard the first share, Ah ko chahiye kumr asar hone tak, kaun jeeta hai teri zulf ke sar hone tak. The enigma of incompletion. Life is a journey into irresolution. Nothing is getting resolved over and over. Kaun jeeta hai teri. And then the second share is so amazing. Daam har mauj mein hai, halqe sad kaam mein naheng. Dekhen kya guzre hai qatre pe gohar hone tak. In this share, Ghalib is tackling the entire issue of nature versus nurture. You know, we are always debating that some people are born with a particular talent. Those who are born with extraordinary talents are few to begin with. And when they come into this world with that extraordinary talent, look at the number of obstacles they meet. They are very few who can actually align the talent with the opportunity. Ghalib is saying, Daam har mauj mein hai. Every wave, it has hundreds of traps. Daam is a trap. Daam har mauj mein hai, halqe sad kaam mein naheng. Naheng is an alligator. In each wave, there are 100 alligators sitting with their mouths open. And now you imagine the halqa, sad kaam mein naheng, and daam when you throw jal up jab pheke, that also has, you know, so you can now imagine what he is trying to do here. So the myth is that in हमारे culture का ये literature का एक myth ये भी है कि मौसम की पहली बारिश के पहले चंद कतरे जो हैं, अगर वो सीपी के मुंह में जाएं तो वो पर्ल बन जाती है. गालिब से एक तो पहले ही इतने कम होते हैं वो कतरे जो टैलेंट लेके आए, जो पहले चंद कतरे होंगे वो तो बस चंद ही हैं, और जब वो आते हैं तो 100 एलिगेटर्स मुंह खोले बैठे हैं उनको पकड़ने के लिए. दाम हर मौज में है, हल्के सद काम नहंग, देखें क्या गुजरे है कतरे पे गोहर होने तक. What that drop of rain has to go through to become a pearl. Yeah, so I want to read it, Sara, actually. Go ahead. The gaping mouths of 100 crocodiles form netted traps in each wave. Consider the labor within the sea change of a raindrop to a pearl. Shakespeare लाना सारे का काम है यहाँ. लेयर को ले आई. Sea change. ये वजह है गालिब सारा से करवाने की. Because only she could come up with this amazing line. You know, there is another दूसरी गजल है गालिब की. औरों पे है वो जुल्म जो मुझ पे न हुआ था. उसका दूसरा शेर लाते हैं गालिब के तौफीक बअंदाज़े हिम्मत है अज़ल से. Once again, the same myth that the first few drops of rain, of the first rain of the season, if they go into the mouth of. So he's saying again, तौफीक बअंदाज़े हिम्मत है अज़ल से. Ghalib is trying to console those raindrops which weren't the first ones. So now they have no chance of becoming a pearl because they weren't the first few. How is he consoling them? This is so, the second line is incredible. तौफीक बअंदाज़े हिम्मत है अज़ल से, आँखों में है वो कतरा जो गौहर न हुआ था. If you didn't become a pearl, think what you can become now. You can become the tear coming out of the eye of a lover. And here is the important thing, Ghalib, that Sara and I discussed over and over, that for Ghalib, one teardrop which comes from a living eye supersedes the magnificence of the entire sea. So both the shades of Ghalib in that ghazal, औरों पे है वो जुल्म जो मुझ पे न हुआ था, तौफीक व अंदाज़े हिम्मत है अज़ल से, आँखों में है वो कतरा जो गौहर न हुआ था. And then दाम हर मौज में है हल्के सद काम नहंग, देखें क्या गुजरे है कतरे के गौहर होने तक. In regarding nature, Ghalib was certainly unafraid of taking into account its dangers. The above couplet is convoluted in that it seems to put together man's work and nature's work. Every wave is also a fisherman's net, so there is no real separation between nature and the trappings of humanity. Furthermore, every wave brings with it another opening, which is 100 gaping mouths of crocodiles. Naheng is crocodile. With a brilliant metaphoric twist, Ghalib moves on to suggest that with all these hazards, consider how difficult it must be for any raindrop to fall and become a pearl. Given that in Urdu mythology, only the first raindrops that fall into the ocean become pearls. The analogy here, of course, is that survival of any kind is next to impossible, with the world being as treacherous as it is, yet, however, pearls are produced. The reader is meant to understand that Ghalib is one of them.
Yes. But that is also meant to match the uncanny humor that runs through Ghalib. And that always, when he seems to be approaching tragedy, he will suddenly bring some sense, some uplifting humor into it. Consider again the Makta of a different ghazal. Ye masail tasawwuf. ये तेरा बयां गालिब, तुझे हम वली समझते जो नबादा खार होता.
क्या बात.
Yeah, and it's full of self-praise. And the wonderful thing that the use of the Ghalib gives is you can address yourself in the third person. You can talk about Ghalib. And then तुझे हम वली समझते जो नबादा खार होता. And once again, the grandeur of being wali is brought down to the reality. There's one kind of vision, and there's another kind of vision that comes through intoxication. And we're meant to see them as parallel.
Also, another shir that we discussed in this vein was कि गालिब खस्ता के बगैर कौन से काम बंद हैं. रोइए जार जार क्या कीजिए हाय हाय क्यों. But here the conceit is कि रोएंगे भी लोग और हाय हाय भी कर रहे होंगे. That's what he's assuming already. And then उसके आगे चले आप. So exactly what Sara said, that he maintains that humorous thing everywhere. Comes out unexpectedly. बढ़िया आप अपना favorite शेर जो आप कहें आशिकी
आशिकी सब्र तलब और तमन्ना बेताब दिल का क्या रंग करूं खूने जिगर होने तक
क्या बात आशिकी सब्र तलब और तमन्ना बेताब दिल का क्या रंग करूं खूने
जिगर होने तक
खूने जिगर पे पहले बताएं
Okay. Reference to two organs that are associated with love and passion. Dil ka kya rang karu, khune jigar hone tak. The liver also in conventional classical poetry is the seat of passion. It's what aches, what agonizes, and whatever. But look at, I would say, the remarkable audacity of Ghalib right now, because the statement of love demanding patience, sabr, or tamanna of a consuming desire, yeah, and then the strange switch into temporality. Dil ka kya rang karu? Well, obviously, dil is associated with khun. Khune jigar hone tak. So, if you articulate love, how long does it take to reach the site of suffering, the liver? Kaun jeeta hai? We can't measure the time it takes.
आशिकी सब्र तलब और तमन्ना बेताब ये क्या लफ्ज है बेताब सर
It's unbelievable.
पढ़िए आप अपना ट्रांसलेशन बहुत अच्छा
Love demands endurance, while desire is consuming. What should be my state until obsession devours patience? I'm not sure what that quite means.
Reinterpret right now. We did that often. In fact, we have done a piece called Ghalib Redux. We took the same shares and without reading what we had done before, we did it again. And we came up in half the time, we came up with entirely different interpretations. And we published that too.
Yes, we did. But were
Anthony
they that
Appier's-
difficult? Were they that different?
No, 50% were totally different.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example later when we have time, but we'd love you to read this first.
Well, to try and put in the complexity of, let's say, the imagery of dil ka rang kya karun, khune jigar hone tak. Try putting that, making it literal in English. It becomes meaningless, becomes almost comical. And yet, it's so poignant that what should be my state until obsession devours patience? I'm sorry, I don't understand. Obsession devours patience much. I'm sorry. What can I say except that this year also expresses the incredible tension between devotion or desire and between devotion or worship and desire, because one of the features of desire is when it is fulfilled, it ends. So in order for desire to keep itself alive, it's got to postpone attainment. And so, in other words, a necessary solitude is imposed upon the lover in order that he or she may maintain that vitality.
अगला भी पढ़ कीजिए, please.
हमने माना कि तगाफुल ना करोगे, लेकिन खाक हो जाएंगे तुमको खबर होने तक.
हमने माना कि तगाफुल न करोगे, लेकिन खाक हो जाएंगे हम तुमको खबर होने तक. क्या बात है? बताइए.
Well, it's so funny. Funny I use in the most profound sense. That he's saying, sure enough, you ultimately will notice me. I agree with that. You'll notice me at some point or the other. However, खाक हो जाएंगे. I will be as dust before खाक हो जाएंगे तुमको खबर होने तक. And now, it's not just my quirky interpretation. The word khabar is not really part of the poetic lexicon. Khabar means a worldly thing. Yeah, isko khabar mili. That kind of. So, in other words, once again, the divinity of desire is brought down to the instance of reality, of exchanging khabar, although he'll be dust, of course, before. And this is one thing I have to say. I hate the word beloved. We were forced to use it. But lover, I think is fine. But the beloved, it implies a kind of stasis. And Ghalib is the last person to grant stasis to any kind of the recipient of desire, whether he or she wishes to be a recipient or not.
Beautiful, sir. आशिकी सब्र तलब और रहना बेतार, दिल का क्या रंग करूं खूने जिगर होने तक. हमने माना कि तगाफुल न करोगे, लेकिन खाक हो जाएंगे हम तुमको खबर होने तक. पढ़े आप इसका क्या किया आपने तर्जुमा? नहीं?
Oh, I agree that you will not remain indifferent, but I will be dust by the time you become aware of me.
Interpretation भी पढ़िए sir.
This here is a brilliant example of Ghalib's hidden linguistic arrogance. He concedes that the object of his desire will not remain indifferent, although as readers we have no idea how the poet is convinced of that. But then in a tragic switch, he declares that by the time you notice me, I shall be dust. One of the complexities of this ghazal is its shifts in tonality, not from sheer to sheer, but even from misra to misra.
Yeah.
You cannot determine where the poet's language is going to lead you, and the reader is left in amazement. one of the things I do confess to, once we discussed it over and over again and come up with the literal translations, then it was my body, as it were, to dictate almost what you were ticky.
Happily ticky.
And once, in a moment of some frivolity, when we'd reached the interpretation part, I said, in this inferior shade, Ghalib, as I said, बिल्कुल नहीं हो सकता inferior shade, मैं नहीं कहूँगी. And we did, there was a lot of fun between our constructing these. Right.
And I want to tell everybody that once we decided on, okay, ye hai hamari interpretation, then literally Sara wrote everything in her mind. Because a perfectly formed sentence would come out of her mouth. I don't think that we had to revise anything. I don't really remember ever having to, unless I didn't agree and say, nahi Sara, ye Ghalib bilkul nahi keh raha. Which happened every now and then we would X out the sentence. But the sentence as it came out. So I asked Sara, ke aapne kya kitab bhi aisi hi likhi thi? She said, haan. पूरी meatless days मैंने दिमाग में लिख के कभी उसको hardly correct किया. And I have to say that boys will be boys, chapter by chapter, handwritten. After Sara would write one chapter, she would FedEx it to me. I was living in Chicago then. And then so I have your handwritten copy with me, by the way. She would send me chapter by chapter, and the final version that is published and the version I have in Sara's hand, maybe 25 words are different in the entire book. This I have never seen in anyone. I mean, Philip Roth was just in the cover of the book review, New York Times. I mean, basically his whole idea is turning sentences, discarding them. For the first 6 months of starting a novel, he writes, discards. Never have I seen or heard of anybody who has this ability to be able to come up with these amazing sentences. This is why I keep insisting, Sara, please read your sentence. I'll read it, aap nahi padh rahi to.
But look, what you're describing is not miraculous at all. It's a form of concentration.
Yes.
You know, you have to concentrate as you are conceiving the sentence. And I must say that one thing we did do is, when I was reading through the interpretations that we gave, I decided that the word exquisite was used a bit too often. We took out many exquisites.
That was my editing in the end. But the perfect sentences that came out from Sara, amazing. Can I do the next one?
Please.
It's my favorite sher because I had an epiphany with this sher. Par tawe khur se hai, shabnam ko fana ki taaleem. Parto is ray of sun. Khur is short for khurshid, which is the sun. So par tawe khur is a ray of sun. What is Ghalib saying? Par tawe khur se hai shabnam ko fana ki taaleem. So shabnam is a dewdrop. It is in love with the sun. It waits all night for the sun to come up. And what does the sun do as soon as the first ray comes? It evaporates it. So fana is total annihilation.
Annihilation. Right.
Total, complete annihilation. Par tawe khur se hai. The ray of sun, the first ray of sun, is giving a lesson of annihilation. Complete
Tabai.
Tabai.
Disintegration.
To the dewdrop which is in love with it. But then you wonder, where is he going to go with the second line?
Yeah.
पर तवे खुर से है शबनम को फना की तालीम, मैं भी हूँ एक इनायत की नजर होने तक.
Oh.
And the epiphany I had, I was running one day, and that was the thing I run every day, 3 to 4, sometimes 5 miles, and Sara would be very patient, waiting for me to come back from
I don't run.
And while I was running, I had this epiphany that I know now what he means by this shape. पर तवे खुर से है शबनम को फना की तालीम. मतलब ये है कि you are in love with whatever your passion or a person or whatever you are in love with, there is no give and take in this love.
No.
It's only give and give. You can't expect anything back in return, because look, the dewdrop, which is so madly in love with the sun, what does the sun do to it? It completely evaporates it. So what Ghalib is saying is that the fact that you are breathing, the fact that you are alive and able to say this means that you haven't given your all. Because had you given your all, inayat ki nazar hoti, you would be dead. In other words, he is saying that until your last breath, you have to keep loving. Whatever you are doing, you have to keep investing in it. You can't ever stop. That is the lesson in this shape. पर तवे खुर से है. सुन रहे महमूद आप? पर तवे खुर से है शबनम को फना की तालीम. मैं भी हूँ एक इनायत की नजर होने तक. आपको चाहिए. Look, I want to read what we did with this. The sun's ray teaches a dewdrop how to vanish. I live because you have not bestowed the grace of your attention upon me. Here Ghalib turns his poetry to a beautifully instructed didacticism. He presents the object of his desire with a lesson of the dewdrop that melts with the first ray of the sun and turns into nothingness, and further suggests he is alive only because the desired has not graced him with one gaze until now. Again, Ghalib draws from classical imagery of the dew, the sunrise and the gaze, and yet casts it in a sophisticated social setting that allows for wit, irony as well as poignancy. पर तवे खुर से है शबनम को फना की तालीम, मैं भी हूँ एक इनायत की नजर होने तक. This is how you have to love. This is what you have to give to your passion. How beautiful is this? अगला शेर आप पढ़ें. यक नजर पेश नहीं.
Why don't we skip to the month?
चलिए.
Just for
बिल्कुल.
track.
Oh, Bakta will be perfect for you to do, because then चलें आप पढ़ें.
हमें हस्ती का असर किससे
किससे हो जुज मर्ग इलाज.
मन इलाज.
गमे हस्ती का असर किससे हो जुज मर्ग इलाज.
शमा हर रंग में जलती है सहर होने तक. One point about the Ghazals. So many of Ghalib's Ghazals use Asad as the Ghazals. It is astounding to realize that it implies that these were Ghazals written before Ghalib was 19 years old, or up till 19 years old. And then he adopts the Ghazals of Ghalib. And what on earth gave a 19-year-old the audacity to write something like
क्या
this?
बात.
Because, and there is a word in Urdu that describes turning grief into pleasure. Yeah, I can't remember it.
आप बताएं याद आ जाए तो मैं I don't know what you mean right now, but exact word you have in mind. But go ahead.
For example, well, let's turn to this. Okay, first of all, he will say that the grief of living can only be cured by death. Yeah.
गमे हस्ती का असर किससे हो जुज मर्ग इलाज जुज मर्ग without except for death. What is the ilaj? For game hasti, the sorrows of living, the griefs we face, only death is an antidote. Exactly.
But then look at the second misra. Shama har rang mein jalti hai, zahar hone tak.
Yeah.
Because that means what can I say? Hijrah, the night of hijrah, of being alone,
Separation.
is not, and separate, yes, is not necessarily one of entire darkness, because you've got the shama burning in 100 different colors before Sahara arrives. So the night ends with a dawn, yeah, and the shama is going to be, yes, extinguished by joining the colors of the dawn. Yeah.
It's lovely. आपने जो किया है बहुत अच्छा, पढ़ेंगे उसको.
In the Makta, Ghalib turns to a medical metaphor.
इलाज.
Who could cure the griefs of existence? He then poses a most curious point to his readers, that a candle has to burn in all splendor before it dies at dawn. The candle is a moment of performance in that it will flourish. It will flourish in true variegation before it accepts death. The beholder is riveted by this display of transience and fragility that will ultimately be extinguished by the worldliness of the sun. We as readers are forced to ask ourselves, what were the psychic and emotional colors the poet is referring to about his own work, his own times, and himself?
So beautiful. सारा ने बहुत अच्छी बात बताई आप लोगों को अभी कि असद तखल्लुस जब है तो that means he is very young. The first edition of Diwan-e-Ghalib contains 1500 some shares and the final edition has 1802 shares. And if you think about Nuskha-e-Hamidiyya, which is the first edition of the Diwan, it is when he was 25 years old. He has already written 1500 of those 1800 shares. He's 25 years old at the time of Nuskha-e-Hamidiyya, and his meditations on aging, on the loss of vitality, on the sorrows of and the physical and metaphysical questions he's addressing. अब्र क्या चीज है, हवा क्या है, जब कि तुझ बिन नहीं कोई मौजूद, फिर ये हंगामा है खुदा क्या है, ये परी चेहरा लोग कैसे हैं, गमज़ो इश्क़ो अदा क्या है. Who can dare to ask these questions at 20 and 22 years of age? तो सारा ने बहुत अच्छा मक्ता जो पढ़ा है. असद क्योंकि आपने नाम ले दिया तो you know that same ghazal from which I quoted the earlier शेर, तू दोस्त किसी का भी सितमगर न हुआ था, औरों पे है वो जुल्म जो मुझ पे न हुआ था, तौफीक व अंदाज़े हिम्मत है अज़ल से, आँखों में है वो कतरा जो गौहर न हुआ था. और दरियाए मासी, the river of sin, दरियाए मासी तुनो काबी से हुआ खुश्क, मेरा सरे दामन भी अभी तर न हुआ था। और जब तक के ना देखा था कदे यार का आलम, मैं मौत कदे फितने महशर न हुआ था। And now he comes to an incredible maqta in this ghazal. Jari hai Asad. Now Asad again, so he is very young when he is writing this sheet. Jari hai Asad daag jigar se meri tehsil. Asad, I have been sustained by my daag jigar, the burning inside my jigar. I have been sustained by that since when? Jari hai Asad, daag jigar se meri tehsil, my sustenance is from my daag jigar. Kab se? Atish kada jagir samandar na hua tha. So samandar is not the sea. Samandar is an animal which lives in fire. Sumandar is supposedly the sea. But Samandar is salamander, an animal which lives in fire. So what is Ghalib saying here? That before the fireplace became the monopoly of the salamander, before it learned to live in fire, I have been sustained by my Dawe-jigar. What a beautiful, amazing thing to come up for Asad. And the reason I wanted to read it is because I want to always end the mehfil with Anis, if you don't mind. Please do. We have to end with Mir Anis. Because the only amazing other poet who's living contemporary of Ghalib but living in Lucknow at the same time and writing, what amazing मर्सियाज हैं। एमी यहाँ बैठी हुई है जिनकी PhD मर्सिये पे है, उनकी खातिर आज अनीस पे खत्म करना बहुत जरूरी है। तो एमी, अनीस और गालिब ने ये लफ्ज समंदर साथ साथ इस्तेमाल किया है। अनीस जो है वो करबला, रोज़े आशूर करबला की गर्मी का बयान कर रहे हैं। गर्मी का रोज़े जंग की कैसे करूं बयां, डर है कि मिस्ले शमा ना जलने लगे ज़बां, वो लू वो अलहज़र वो हरारत के अलमा, रंग की ज़मीं तो सुर्ख थी और जर्द आसमां, आबे खुनुक को खल्क तरसती थी खाक पर, गोया हवा से आग बरसती थी खाक पर। अब ये शेर लाते हैं कि झीलों से चार पाए न उठते थे ताबा शाम, झीलों से चार पाए न उठते थे ताबा शाम, मस्कन में मछलियों के, जहाँ मछलियाँ रहती थीं जिस जगह मस्कन में मछलियों के समंदर का था क़याम। That animal which lives in fire is now living in those places where the fish live. इतनी गर्मी थी। झीलों से चार पाए न उठते थे ताबा शाम, मस्कन में मछलियों के समंदर का था क़याम, आहू जो काहिले थे तो चीते सियाह फाम, पत्थर पिघल के हो गए थे मिसले मोह में खाम, stones had become like molten melted wax, पत्थर पिघल के हो गए थे मिसले मोह में खाम, सुर्खी उड़ी थी फूलों से सब्जी गियाह से, और पानी कुएं में उतरा था साए की चाह से, गिरदाब पर था शोले जव्वाला का गुमा, गिरदाब पर था शोले जव्वाला का गुमा, अंगारे थे हुबाब तो पानी शरर फिशां, मुंह से निकल पड़ी थी हर एक मौज की ज़बां, मुंह से निकल पड़ी थी हर एक मौज की ज़बां, तह पर थे सब नहंग मगर थी लबों पे जान। नहंग is again alligators. ज़मीन तह पर थे सब नहंग मगर थी लब। ये अनीस और गालिब की लैंग्वेज का कमाल है। सारा सुन रही हैं?
मैं सुन रही हूँ।
झीलों से चार पाए न उठते थे ताबा शाम, मस्कन में मछलियों के समंदर का था क़याम, आहू जो काहिले थे तो चीते सियाह फाम, पत्थर पिघल के हो गए थे मिसले मोह में खाम, सुर्खी उड़ी थी फूलों से सब्जी गियाह से, पानी कुएं में उतरा था साए की चाह से, गिरदाब पर था शोले जवाला का गुमा, अंगारे थे हुबाब तो पानी शरर फिशां, मुंह से निकल पड़ी थी हर एक मौज की ज़बां, तह पर थे सब नहंग मगर थी लबों पे जां। पानी था आग गर्मी रोजे हिसाब थी, और माही मछली को कहते हैं, पानी था आग गर्मी रोजे हिसाब थी, माही जो सीखे मौज पे आई कबाब थी। इस धूप में खड़े थे अकेले शहे उमम, न साद दामने रसूल है ना साये अलम, ऊदे थे लब जबान पे छाले कमर में खम। I can't continue reading because I will break down. But
Look, all I can say is, have you ever heard anyone with Dr. Azra Raza's memory? She's phenomenal. And so, just as she marvels at my being able to dictate, when I say concentration, then it is concentration on your part to be able to contain so much.
नहीं सारा Ghalib और Anis, I think the most beautiful gift that the subcontinent has given to humanity, in my opinion, to all of humanity, is these two poets. What unbelievable masterworks they have left behind. I think that it is an honor for me to be sitting next to Sara. It is such an honor that all of you have taken out the time to come. What we wanted to do now is we don't want to overtax your powers of concentration. So we wanted to offer that please do get the books. We would like to request that you give a donation of $20 for each book because it's going to go to somebody else. And the whole idea that we had for this mehfil was that we begin a dialogue about Ghalib and interpretation and reinterpretation. And please, for the younger people especially, the whole idea is to get you excited about the universal message that Ghalib is giving. In every share there are incredible interrogations about life in general, about metaphysical issues, about the Israr-e-Azal, the eternal mysteries and wonders that are so essential for each one of us, irrespective of color or race or nationality. And that is what gave us that ecstasy of apprehension I was talking about. I want Sara to end the mehfil and then you invite everybody to.
I will say, return to Ghalib, and in terms of inviting you all to some refreshment, I will say, क्या फर्ज है कि सबको मिले एक साथ जवाब, आओ ना हम भी सैर करें कोई दूर की.
क्या बात है, वाह वाह.
Why don't we go?